Strange, we all right? Be back here.
Hey, what was that?
Went forward in time to view alternate futures, to see all the possible outcomes of the coming conflict.
How many did you see?
14,605,000.
How many did we win?
One.
I really like the character of Nightmare and the concept that the nightmare realm is a dimension. I always thought that was one of and that's early. That's like in the first Strange Tale. I think that's in the introductory episode of Doctor Strange, and I always loved that. We decided not to do that just because that's a bit of a complex idea to try to introduce everything that we do introduce and introduce the idea of nightmares themselves as being another dimension. I hope somewhere down the line we get to explore that because I think that's a super cool concept.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. British news sites have been reporting that Doctor Strange 2 is going to get started sometime next year, so we need to talk about what's going on. The reason I included that clip is because the director, Scott Derrickson, already said what he really wants to do for the sequel. So if you're brand new to the channel, there's a new round of that Infinity War Blu-ray giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. I'll name a new winner at the end of this. You may remember a while ago I did a couple of Phase 4 videos about all the movies that Kevin Feige had confirmed that they're working on. There are actually several. Doctor Strange 2 was one of those, but at the time when he announced that, they didn't say when they were going to be working on it, so it could have been any time in the next couple of years. But most of the news sites that are talking about this are talking about Benedict Cumberbatch's supreme paycheck that he's going to earn for it, which is about $7.5 million is what they're expecting. As far as we know, it's going to be all the same people that worked on the first film, same writer, same director, which is why the Scott Derrickson's comments are so important, because the Nightmare character, the Nightmare realm, is a very different twist from what we expected based on that Baron Mordo post-credit scene from the first film.
Why are you doing this? Because I see at long last what's wrong with the world. Too many sorcerers.
His whole thing about there being too much magic out there is that he was taking it from people that he had either trained or trained with. So the idea was that the reckoning that he told Doctor Strange that would be coming was him, in fact. He was the reckoning. But revisiting the idea of nightmares as the setting for the Doctor Strange sequel makes so much more sense after what happened during Infinity War and what's happening during Avengers 4. So even if they don't let Scott Derrickson do a legit horror film in the Marvel Universe, imagine Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, but with the Doctor Strange character. Doctor Strange battling the character Nightmare through the nightmares of all the biggest people on Earth, like the A-list Avengers. Imagine Doctor Strange traveling through Spider-Man's nightmares. We've even seen one of Iron Man's nightmares, because that was what happened at the beginning of Age of Ultron. Scarlet Witch gave him that vision. He references it during Infinity War. I've been living with this for the last 6 years.
I don't think you quite understand what's at stake here.
It's you who doesn't understand that Thanos has been inside my head for 6 years, since he sent an army to New York, and now he's back. And I don't know what to do. So I'm not so sure if it's a better plan to fight him on our turf or his, but you saw what they did, what they can do.
He said a couple other things that he wants to include in the Doctor Strange sequel, but that might change if he really does do Nightmare Realm, because Clea, for example, is something that he's talked about, but she's really a character that flows from Dormammu, so if you're not going to do Dormammu, then it's a little bit harder to include her. But you can tease her and then maybe do her in a third film, and even if they don't go right back to him, Dormammu is a really good candidate for, say, like a Phase 6 overarching villain to replace something like Thanos, if they're not going to use Galactus, or if they're not going to use some other big cosmic villain. There are a number of different big main arcs that they could do. We don't know exactly what that's going to be, so we'll have to wait till after Avengers 4 to start theory crafting about that. If you're not familiar with the Nightmare character, just like Scott Derrickson said in that clip, he's one of the earliest Doctor Strange villains, but he's sort of a Dormammu-type character that reigns over the dream realm. They call it the Nightmare realm, but he basically lives in people's dreams and feeds off their psychic energy generated by nightmares. So the crazier the nightmares, the more powerful he gets. So think about the nightmares after Avengers Infinity War in Avengers 4. Now, we all know that the Avengers are going to fix things, but the idea is that some people in the world, special people like the A-list Avengers, will remember things even if it's only on a subconscious level. So even if they stitch together aspects of different realities or change the timeline so that the snapshot never happened, there'll still be some people that come out of Avengers 4 remembering everything that happened, all the craziness. Imagine those nightmares supercharging the character Nightmare so that he becomes so powerful he threatens the waking realm so that eventually Doctor Strange has to go confront him. Like, you see people walking around near Bleecker Street just seeming like complete zombies in the waking hours of the day, and Doctor Strange is like, oh, this isn't good, so he has to go into their dreams. So even though I'm not expecting it to be a big, huge Avengers crossover, you can still have him traveling through the Avengers nightmares, which is like just a really fun way to have a couple of funny moments, but also still do it as a straight-up horror film, like Spider-Man, another New York-based character. Imagine the nightmares that Spider-Man has after dying and coming back to life.
Start? I don't feel so good.
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening.
Like, it becomes a little bit of an Iron Man analog after that first Avengers film. Like when we picked up in Iron Man 3 and he was just living with this crazy PTSD. Imagine Spider-Man and all the other Avengers that survive having a version of that and having to deal with that the first time that they pick up in whatever movies they pop up in, like Spider-Man Far From Home. Even if they don't focus on that in that movie, they'll probably have to deal with it at some point. Doctor Strange traveling through their dreams, Dream Doctor, is the perfect way to reference some of that stuff. If you're asking about Mephisto, Scarlet Witch, the other magic-based X-Men characters because of this Disney deal, I think a lot of that just depends on how self-contained that they want this movie to be. I'm not expecting a whole bunch of other Avengers characters to pop up in this, nor X-Men, because if they're really going to be starting next year, that's really quick. The Disney deal won't quite be done yet, and if they do include Scarlet Witch, it's probably only going to be a cameo. I'm really hoping that they use her to set up the idea of chaos magic so that they can do something with that during Phase 4, because she's a huge female character. She's one of the most powerful people that they have on the Avengers. If they're doing this big thing in the next couple of years where they try to include all the most badass, big, powerful female characters, it would be really weird for them to make her ride the bench. So I feel like Scarlet Witch will return during Phase 4, but we don't know exactly how they plan to use her yet, because currently Snapshot status pending, so she might go on a bit of a vacation with Vision after Avengers 4 if they bring both of those characters back. But just expect Marvel to do a big Comic-Con panel next summer where they announce exactly what the schedule is going to be for the next 3 to 4 years. Let me know in the comments, though, what do you want them to do with the Doctor Strange sequel if they do Nightmare Realm? Which other characters do you want to see pop up in that? Remember, it's probably not going to be a giant Avengers crossover because they don't want to spend $1 billion on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple other characters pop up, really hoping for a minor Spider-Man cameo just because they are New York bros. Congratulations to the giveaway winner from my last big Marvel video, Luis B. Avalos. Please email me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. There's a new Daredevil Season 3 preview I'll post later tonight, but click here to learn all about that Iron Man Illuminati Easter egg, and click here for that Avengers 4 title teaser. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.